sure it'll go exactly right.
How much preparation? We saw the other day that very early in the morning that the troops were out, the horses, and running it through. How much prep do you get?
Well, that was a full rehearsal in the night, but of course there's lots of preparation before that of the individual components to get their own standards up, get all the equipment ready, get the horses ready, practice their own parts in this display, and then bring it all together on Friday. But you should remember that they're also practicing for the Queen's Birthday Parade, so on Saturday they had the first public rehearsal for the Queen's Birthday Parade, the second one being next Saturday and the Birthday Parade itself the following one. So there's a lot going on at this time.
Well, they're also involved in the Olympics as well.
And after that, the Olympics, of course.
So this has been a very busy year.
It's always busy at this time of year, but this is a special one, and nobody would mind being part of this at all. I'm sure they're absolutely loving it.
And we can hear those gun salutes punctuating the air around us here, even down by Buckingham Palace, can't we? That has to be calibrated quite carefully, presumably, when you have a horse-drawn procession such as this.
Well, of course, the remarkable thing is that the King's troops' own horses don't seem to mind the gunfire. But you're right, 60 shots at 20-second intervals being fired during this procession could spook the horses, and if I was out there, my heart would be in my mouth. But I'm sure that's been thought of, and I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine.
And you have been out there on occasions like this, and you masterminded this sort of ceremonial for the royal wedding last year. You know how much goes into it.
Well, I do. I've ridden on several parades, including the State Open of Parliament, which is in a way slightly similar to this processional route. And a lot goes into it. And people do enjoy it, but perhaps more afterwards than at the time.
Let's just listen to the gun salute and the carriages as they pass there. Great view of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and they're in one of the state landauls alongside Prince Harry. We know that this carriage procession has been changed slightly. There were to be 3 carriages, but because of the ill health of the Duke of Edinburgh, the Queen, as we can see her there, alongside Camilla and Prince of Wales. Turning into Trafalgar Square now. The crowd has been waiting so patiently, watching every move.
Through Admiralty Arch, the beginning of the Mall.
And this is the moment, Sir William, isn't it? It's, presumably from your perspective, is that wow moment when you enter the Mall and this spot of historic procession.
Well, I think the crowds have been immense all the way along the route, so that would have been spectacular already. But when you come to the top of the Mall, the other end of the Mall from the Palace, and you can see all the way down, that certainly is special. And of course, the crowds build up as you go down. It's actually a slightly different route to the normal processional route in that it comes through Admiralty Arch. So they're doing the full length this time, and you can see they've come through the centre arch, which is only open for such occasions, going through next to St James's Park. And the whole of the route here will be lined by the foot guards, the regiments of the foot guards, interspersed with bands all the way down. And that, combined with the 4 divisions of the Sovereign's escort, makes for a huge display.
Well, the household cavalry is not just ceremonial.
No, the 2 main parts of the household cavalry. One is an operational armoured reconnaissance regiment in Windsor, and the other is the mounted regiment in London. But with soldiers swapped between the 2, they're all fully trained, not just ceremonial.
So a lot of them will quite recently have come back from the front line.
Well, certainly the more senior ranks may well have done that. Often the more junior ones have come from training and they won't have gone to do the operational side yet. Often they're very young and they haven't ridden before, so that's even more remarkable.
Well, 90% of the young men that go into the household cavalry have no equine experience at all.
I don't know the accuracy of the percentage, but I certainly know that it is a significant percentage. They're joining their regiments, the Life Guards and the Blues and Royals, who are the 2 regiments behind those 2 units. And this is one aspect of the job, and it's not necessarily the one they have at the front of their mind at the time. But it gives them a special esprit de corps, of course. Only the cavalry do this in the world.
I'd love to be a little listener in to the conversations happening in that carriage there with Prince Harry and Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. They were having a ball last night at the concert eve, and it's worth remembering that these images are going right around the world.
That's exactly
the Commonwealth in particularly.
The Commonwealth and America. These pictures in the carriages will be the ones that make the front pages, because they are what we have that's so special. And apart from celebrating our democracy, our freedom, this country and the great things we've exported over the world, it's this panoply.
Let's take in these beautiful images from the mount.
Usually when you would watch a procession such as this, the gentlemen of the royal family would be in military uniform. But as they're in morning dress, it's actually quite unusual to see them with their top hats on.
Yes, I mean, they would be wearing military uniform after the Queen's birthday parade, when, of course, they've been on parade. On this occasion, they hadn't been on parade themselves, so that's the distinction there. But you can see Prince William wearing his Household Division tie.
What a lovely view there of the crowds lining the Mall. They've waited so many long hours in not the warmest of June mornings for this site. And it's a site that echoes through history, Sir William.
Well, I think seeing the coronation footage earlier, you can see this has happened quite a few times before in roughly the same way. In terms of household cavalry, it'd be roughly the same numbers, but actually I noticed the coronation, the guardsmen were at one pace apart out the Mall, whereas now they're probably six, I think. And so it's slightly different in that way, but this is a historic route, and it's done many times before.
You were saying, Julie, I wonder what it is that they're actually saying in the carriage. I should imagine that they're probably saying, do you know what, we're going to get back in time for the rain. Just as they get
beating
back,
the rain.
Just about to
What a
start
view.
raining.
We can see the household cavalry behind us, just past our studio here at Canada Gate.
Well, there'll be a huge round of applause as Her Majesty comes back now into this, what is actually a traffic island with a beautiful monument in the centre of it. The setting for last night's concert, so the bleachers are still up, absolutely packed with people waiting for their glimpse of the Queen to come back from the Mall, around that monument and in through the gates of Buckingham Palace.
The view from our studio here at Canada Gate as the household cavalry pass on the far side of the Queen Victoria Memorial and head into the centre gates of Buckingham Palace. And what a view that is for the tens of thousands who've gathered here, who've got their seats by public ballot for this historical occasion. The sound of the 60-gun salute still echoing around this arena that's been created with the bleachers here, and the national anthem.
As Her Majesty pulls into the inner courtyard of Buckingham Palace, the coachman, Philippa Jackson, who would have been on the third coach, because of course the configuration has changed slightly because of the fact that unfortunately the Duke of Edinburgh can't be here. And she's going to present Her Majesty the Queen with a posy at the grand entrance on her return to the palace. A Muse tradition to leave a posy made with flowers from the Buckingham Palace gardens in carriage, but today it's going to be presented to the Queen by Philippa Jackson.
So we see the Windsor Greys drawing the 1902 State Landau to that centre court in Central Square in Buckingham Palace for the Queen to step down from that carriage. And what a sight the crowds here in the Mall have been greeted with. And we know in just a few moments' time, once the end of this ceremonial has concluded, then the crowds will be allowed along the Mall. But we'll make sure we keep our eyes peeled for the moment when that happens. And Sir William, a moment of great relief that the Queen has been delivered safely.